medical study questions the effectiveness of colonoscopies when it comes to preventing cancer deaths. CBS News chief medical correspondent Dr. Jon LaPook joins me now for more on this. John, thank goodness you're here because...
Well, that's a great thing to hear.
I know, it's right, exactly. It's good to see you, Doc. Here's the thing. I don't know much, but what I do know is you're supposed to go get a colonoscopy because not only that's the right thing to do, but because they're so certain and the gold standard. So any fibrillation in that belief makes me at a loss. So what are we supposed to take from this study?
Well, this study, which was kind of tricky to interpret, was a large European study. Okay, it's like Norway, Sweden, Poland, 84,000 people, age 55 to 64. And they divided them into two groups, basically. They said, okay, one group we're just going to follow. You do the normal thing. The other, we're going to offer colonoscopy. And in that group that was offered colonoscopy, over 10 years, a median of 10 years, there was only an 18% decrease in the risk of getting colorectal cancer. And there didn't seem to be any difference between the two groups in colorectal cancer death.
Right.
So people said, whoa, wait a second. But
yes,
I spoke to the author today, just a few hours ago, who was in Norway. And here's the thing. If you look at the group of the people who were offered colonoscopy, only 42% of them actually got the colonoscopy.
Right. This is what, okay, good.
And of the people who got the colonoscopy, there was over 10 years, there was a 31% decreased risk of getting colorectal cancer and a 50% decreased risk of dying from colorectal cancer. So you could say, okay, wow, case closed. Well, not exactly, okay? No, look, let me just go to the bottom line here. The bottom line is colonoscopy is the best thing we have in colorectal cancer screening for, picking up colon cancer early, and in the case of colonoscopy, for finding these polyps, which are totally benign, have no symptoms, and they could be in there for 5, 10, 15 years and do nothing and then suddenly turn into colon cancer. And if you do a colonoscopy and you find these polyps, I found many, many over the years of being a gastroenterologist, and take them out, that polyp, instead of potentially becoming colon cancer, is in a jar in a hospital, in a pathology lab, and so you don't get colon cancer.
So what you were zoning in on is this idea that there's a big group of people who were offered colonoscopies.
Right.
But to me, the more interesting group is the ones who actually got the colonoscopies.
Right.
And what you're saying is those who did see a decrease in the mortality rate and did see a decrease in the number of cancers. So that seems like, okay, back to what we believed before this.
I still am kind of back, but it's a little more complicated than that. I mean, you'd like to just simplistically saying, well, look, it's not good enough to be offered a screening test. You have to actually do the screening test.
Well, one should think, yeah.
Statistically, though, there's this thing called, this is the first randomized controlled study, meaning that, you're following these people. Some of them get colonoscopy, some don't get the colonoscopy. And once you start, and that's called intention to treat, right? Once you actually throw away the people who didn't get the colonoscopy from your group that's offered the screening, and you're just looking at the group that got the colonoscopy, you're destroying the randomization.
Right.
And let me give you a specific theoretical example.
So it's less scientifically pure.
Yes. So it may be, I don't know that this is true, but it may be that in that 42% that got it and had a lower risk of colorectal cancer death, there was something else that had nothing to do with the colonoscopy. Could be they were less likely to smoke, they were less likely to be obese, they were less likely to have a family history, and on, some other risk factor. And that's why we can't say, well, this shows it, okay?
Right.
But we do know the natural history of these colon polyps for sure, and we know that over time they can become colon cancer.
But the final quick word is, if I'm 45, I should
get a screening, okay? And if you are at increased risk and you family history or other things, talk to your healthcare provider about that even earlier.
Okay. Dr. Jon LaPook, it's great to have you here.
Thanks for being here, John. My first appearance.
I know, first of many.
Okay.
All right. We'll see you again soon. Hopefully with something that's a little less confusing.
A little simpler.
But
2 + 2 is 4.
That's right. Exactly. Thanks for walking us through that, John.